Hey, Phil here from Radio.co once again for another installment of our Back to Basics course, a series of videos designed to help you better understand the first steps in launching your very own internet radio station. Now, so far in this series, I've covered how to actually run a radio station entirely through our Radio.co software, what equipment you may need, and, most recently, how you can combine the two in order to broadcast a live show to live audiences all around the world. So if you followed all of that, then you're honestly right on the cusp of launching your own station. You have your equipment plugged in, you've built your shows on Radio.co, and you're about to turn your station on air. But hang on, how are people actually going to listen to your station? That's probably the most important thing, right? Thanks for checking out Radio.co on YouTube. If you want to see more kit reviews, live webinars, and handy broadcasting tips, then give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and click the bell icon. Well, the beauty of internet radio is that it's available all around the world via the internet, of course, and because of that, it's such an incredibly accessible medium, as anyone can tune into your shows via their computers, smartphones, and smart speakers with ease. Now, just because your radio station is easy to listen to doesn't mean it's actually easy to find. So in this episode, I'm going to discuss a few ways in how you can begin promoting your station. Now, please understand that what I'll be discussing is not surefire, guaranteed ways to definitely grow your listeners, but by taking some of the advice on board, you can absolutely work towards that goal. Ultimately, the most effective ways to grow your listenership and spread the good word of your station is to make your station as widely available as possible, to make your station as easy to find as possible, and, relating to that, particularly for you, make it as simple as possible for you to direct people to. It's all well and good saying your station is available here, 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 and about a dozen other places, but that's a bit overwhelming. You need to know how to effectively tell your audience where they can find you. Keep it simple, keep it concise, keep it coherent. So there's sort of things we're going to be discussing in this video today. Now, the first thing to discuss is social media. And if you've seen any of my old videos and webinars in the past, I'm sure you can gather that I'm perhaps not the biggest advocate for social media. That's just a personal choice for me. I perhaps don't use it as it's intended, to be social. However, I can absolutely tell you today categorically that social media is such a beneficial tool to help you promote your radio station. And the exact same thing would apply if you're wanting to promote a podcast or a YouTube channel, because social media provides that online visibility for your otherwise non-visibly active medium, or it's audio. The only way you can direct people to a piece of audio is to have something visual to grab their attention and point them towards it, right? So social media, you can use it to be almost like a headquarters. Think of it like a second website. You may be thinking already, do I want to have a website for my station or not? I would say that it can be essential for you to have a website for your radio station, particularly if you want to create a definite branded location for people to go to. It's your personal domain name. They visit there, they see plastered across all of your branding, your media, your hosts, banner ads, maybe something like that. But a just as good alternative to that is a Facebook page, particularly a Facebook group page or a fan page rather, because there it kind of does the same job as a website. It provides people information about your radio station. There's a means for people to contact you. You can post pictures and links and videos and discussions related to your programs, and most importantly, it gives people the opportunity to interact with each other. Social media almost acts like a free promotional campaign that you don't need to personally manage. What I mean by that is you can post a picture or a video or a comment just saying, I don't know, X was the greatest album ever made by Y, or today we're going to discuss this. What do you think? Now, you can just post that and maybe walk away and not look at your Facebook page for a few hours. But within that time, people are interacting with that. They're commenting, they're sharing, they're interacting with each other, they're perhaps arguing with each other, they're discussing, I guess is the more polite term. But the idea is they're creating promotional campaigning for you. Their interaction is causing your post to become more visible. They're sharing it to people who otherwise may not have found out about your station's existence, people and their friends or and the friends of friends and friends of friends of friends of friends. So using social media to grow your promotional opportunity is imperative. It's essential, I'd say. I think Facebook's perhaps the most useful social media tool because, as I say, it can be treated kind of like a blog post. I mean, it's kind of what it was already, but you can post things and invite people to share and interact. Other platforms can still be good. Twitter is great. I mean, loosely using the word great, particularly these days. Who knows what will happen? But Twitter can be good, again, just to do quick-fire interaction with people. There are certain hashtags that you can use that kind of get you involved in groups and networks to do with the radio. Like, as an example, in my podcasting days, I used to regularly use within Twitter the hashtag Pod and Family, for example, or Britpod Scene as a British podcaster. And things like that connect you to other networks, and people who are using the same hashtags are looking for you to help you promote. So again, Twitter's good for people to share and spread the word of your station. Other platforms, I guess, are more geared towards more visual means like Instagram or TikTok and things like that. And again, I'm not on board with those platforms at all. I have no personal need for them. But Instagram and TikTok can still be hugely beneficial, even if they are completely new to you. Instagram, all visual based, of course. You can just post images of your logos, or a photo of you having a good time, or a photo of a host that you're going to play, an album artwork. And again, the idea is you're using that platform to attract people to your otherwise unattractive medium. Again, a link to a radio station. It's not really clickbaity enough for you. You need to have something to attract their attention. And TikTok, it's particularly, obviously, it's more geared towards younger generations. So even if you think that your discussions or your music that you're going to play is not geared towards a younger audiences, I think you'll be quite surprised. I'm in my 30s, but I'm hugely into a lot of 80s music, because I'm sure a lot of people are my age and younger are perhaps, but I love my 80s music. I listen to a lot of modern music inspired by 80s music, and I listen to, bit of a guilty pleasure, I like to listen to a lot of like music from the 40s and 50s. You wouldn't necessarily think that's the sort of thing I'm potentially into. But if I see on Instagram or TikTok a station that is doing a clip or an image related to that, I'm going to listen, even though you don't think I'm your intended audience. I happen to have found it because I'm active on social media. One thing I would recommend, I'm going to touch on this a little bit more later in this episode, but is you want to create content for these social media platforms. It doesn't, when I say you have to make a video on TikTok or Instagram, it doesn't have to be a 10-minute epic or something where you're specifically writing down and planning and creating and shooting something. It just needs to be something that's quick form, 10 seconds or something. You don't realize how beneficial just doing a 10-second to camera on your phone of just saying, this is the sort of things we're going to be playing. These are the things we're going to talk about. If you want to get involved, head to our website here or click this link here. That's all it needs to be. The trick with it, though, is to be consistent. So you can post a big post or a discussion thing on Facebook once a day. That's perfect. That might be all you need. Just do it once a day, every day. Keep it consistent so people know that you are an active account. So social media, if you, the big tip with it really is if you don't know how to use a particular platform, go out and find out how to use it. You only need to use it in the absolute basic way. After all, this is a back to basics course. You don't need to learn how to optimize your post to get the most clicks or interaction. Just learn basically how to use it. I've never been on TikTok. Well, I've been forced to go on TikTok by a certain company. But I've never used it for personal use. But if I wanted to use it, I'll find out. I'll ask Rowan how to use it and to help promote my podcasting or my radio station. So social media, it may infuriate a few of you. Some people might not be on it, but it can be hugely beneficial to just use it in its bare basic tool. So social media, great way to make your station as available as much as possible. Another option is directories, or specifically internet radio directories. Think of them like Spotify, but it's for radio stations. People go to these directories specifically to listen to internet radio and maybe get recommended other radio stations that they can listen to based off what they're listening to. Again, just like how Spotify or Apple Music might work. As for more notable ones, TuneIn might be the one that you've heard of first. It might be, you instantly know what that is, or you're asking yourself, how do I get invited to TuneIn? TuneIn is probably the most well-known directory. It's been going probably one of the longest. It's available, all over the world. And a lot of radio stations that you perhaps listen to already, you're actually, through smart speakers especially, they're probably streaming from TuneIn, so you're listening to, to it through a third-party means. Now, The only problem with TuneIn is a few years ago, they stopped accepting submissions, and then they suddenly opened up the doors. I think it was earlier this year or late last year, and they now charge about, roughly, it works out over the course of a year, about $1,000 a year to be listed with them. They're also capping, at least at time of recording, on countries that are allowed to submit stations to them, like it might still be North America, again, at the time of recording. If you're outside of that country, you can't submit to them. Frankly, they just make it difficult and expensive to submit to. However, it's not the be-all or end-all. You don't have to be on TuneIn. There are other platforms like Streamer, which still sees, hundreds of thousands, even millions of people using it every week to listen to radio. Radio Garden is another one, that's hugely popular. It has its own app, and it actually pinpoints stations around the globe. You can scan around the globe and find stations maybe that you'd never heard of that are next door to you. So the idea is, there are dozens and dozens of directories you can submit to. And we have a guide, actually, of about 40 or so different directories you can submit to. Most of the time, they are incredibly easy to submit to. You may have to wait 24 hours for it to appear. But often, it's just a case of copying and pasting your Radio.co radio link onto it, create a profile, and there we go, bosh, you are on there. It can be helpful to submit yourself to pretty much every directory you want to. There's no harm in doing that. Submit to all 40 of them. But understand that you don't need to tell people, list all 40 locations that people can find you on. That's a bit overkill. List Streamer, Radio Garden, maybe another one that's a bit more niche, specifically, to what you are broadcasting about. And that's it. But it still can't hurt to submit to them, because there are people who are quite stubborn and will only reside within certain directories for all of their radio needs. So submit to all of them, because, you still may find a small drip of people coming through based off that. So directories, they're free, they're easy to do, if you avoid TuneIn, that is. Another one, of course, which is a very, very beneficial, particularly if you want to expand. The keyword is the efficiency. Of course, you want to make your station more accessible, but you also want to make it as efficient for people to connect to and continue listening. If it's easy to connect to, people are going to be listening to it for a lot longer. What I'm talking about is mobile apps and smart speaker skills. Now, they are two things that we can create for you within Radio.co. So if you do subscribe to our platform, you will have the option to create your very own custom mobile app for Android and iOS, and a smart speaker skill for Alexa devices. Now, the reason why these can be incredibly easy is because, particularly where mobile apps are concerned, the chances are, I touched on this with the social media thing, is that chances are a lot of people who are finding out about your station's existence is through their phones anyway. So they're scrolling through their phones, on Facebook perhaps, and if you put a post to say, this is my new radio station, Phil Radio, we're going to be playing X, Y, Z, listen to our website here, or download our app. Even though downloading an app requires a bit more time, in terms of you've got to go on the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store, type it in, find it, wait for it to download, install it, open it. That takes a bit longer than click here on my website to listen. But we're kind of just been rewired in a way that every part of our life stems kind of directly from our mobile phones. So, the idea is that it's just something that we are more likely to respond to, because we want everything kind of embedded in the palm of our hands, our apps, our contacts, our messages. So if you tell people that you have an app, it's, figures have shown that people are more likely to respond to that. It's called a call to action. When you tell people, leave a review or go to our website to listen, get involved. That's you telling people to do something, a call to action. They're more likely to respond to a call to action if you are asking them to download an app, because, as I say, they're likely on their phone already when they find out about your station's existence. So the fact that they can just download an app, open it up, they're more likely to do so. So you may see a huge increase in people listening from mobile apps. And as well, it works in the background, so they can, just like how Spotify and Apple Podcasts and things like that work, they play your radio station, they lock the screen, put it in the pocket, and they can listen to it on their commute or, around the house or something like that. Smart speakers as well have become almost the new old radio, the device that sits in the corner of your room, every room sometimes. And, people don't even need to lift a single finger to listen to it. It's just instantly connecting and streaming. And in the latest results, in the radar results here in the UK and I think Nielsen reports, I think, is it in the US? I may be wrong, probably am. But it's seen over the last few years a absolutely huge, increase in how people are listening to radio. It's online radio, specifically through smart speakers, because it's just so easy.
Hey you, yes you, did you know you can start your very own radio station right now for free? Yes, for free. Simply click the link in the corner to start your 7-day free trial today.
Amazon Echo devices are more available than ever. They're always releasing new models. And if you are just telling your, Alexa play Phil FM radio, then Alexa's going to, because, it's a direct skill line to your, coming to your Radio.co account. And the ease, if they can just say, listen to your radio without lifting a finger, without looking at something. You don't even need to look at Alexa, just tell her to do what you want. And that's it. They're likely to listen to it longer because the speakers are situated in the different rooms that they're just chilling in and residing in. It just adds to the efficiency. It's easy and efficient to listen to a radio station from a mobile app or a smart speaker. So although they do cost additional charges, of course, it's something that you really need to seriously think about to really open up how easy and accessible your radio station is, because that's what it comes down to. Make it as efficient and available and accessible as possible. Something a bit more, it's not really niche, it's something to consider is, particularly if you're going down the community radio route, you want to make yourself present at local events. And it means you don't need to go to absolutely everything, town hall meetings and stuff, but, go to, if there's local fun runs or charity drives or, just, where people are making an appearance in, make your radio station available there. Beauty of internet radio, as I've said before, is that it's portable. You don't need a studio with you. As long as you've got an internet connection, you have your radio station with you. You could go to a local event, a charity drive or a market or something like that. As long as you've got connection to Wi-Fi or mobile data, set up shop. Put your laptop on your lap or on a little table. Some apps let you use your mobile phone as a microphone, or bring a little microphone with you, plug it in, connect to the internet. That's it. You are now broadcasting live from that event. It can be as easy as that. Make your station present. Talk to people at this event. Make it seem like you are live on the scene during this big event or this local drive. And if you want to make more of an effort, get things like banners. Things that really sort of pull out, advertise the name of your radio station, where people can get in touch. People always ask me, are flyers a good idea for promoting your station at local events? And yes and no. Mainly because you want people to leave with something to do with your radio station. And it's all well and good you saying, here's a piece of paper, go to Phil Radio FM or download our app or whatnot. It's on a piece of paper. I can't interact with anything. I can't press it. So what you should do is an updated version of that is maybe have flyers that have QR codes that take people to your website where they can listen, or they take you to your iOS app or Android app or something like that. So if you have a flyer that says, Phil Radio FM, your local community station, we play XYZ, want to listen? Download our app here, and it's a QR code. People just get the phone on it. That's it. And they're now streaming your station. Again, make it efficient and easy for people to listen to. And local events, particularly for a community-driven radio station, it shows that you are willing to immerse yourself in the community as much as possible. You can't be a community radio station if you just reside in your own home and don't involve yourself with the community, and making appearances like that, getting your name out there can increase your listeners. It can also maybe lead to business deals where you are getting sponsored or people are advertising on a radio station. The only way to get there is to make yourself visible and well known. So consider, local events. And kind of related on that is, it's great that your radio station is available globally. People can listen to it all over the world. But a global radio station is difficult to market. It's great that people on the other side of the world are listening, but why not focus all of your promotional efforts on the local area? It's great people on the other side of the world can listen, but my focus is on my community, my area. And again, it's just an easier thing for you to market if you know who your audience is because you live amongst them. And then the last thing really to cover is to do with something I touched on before is, kind of two things, video and on demand. So video can be very beneficial for social media, particularly as it gives that visual aspect of your radio station to help drive interest in things. But it's also can be helpful to attract audiences that maybe reside on platforms that aren't geared towards specifically radio. An example of this is me and Rowan did a fantastic chat last year about using video for your radio station, and how, although we might grumble going, oh, video's not radio, it's true, but video is a hugely complementary, beneficial tool for radio stations. Think of it like this. There could be people that could absolutely love your radio station. They love the music you play, the topics you talk about. However, they get all of their entertainment from YouTube. That's the only platform they go to. They don't go to anywhere else. They just consume YouTube as their main diet of entertainment and news and music. So you need to attract that audience, because if they know that you exist, they might go to your website, or they may listen to your radio station or download your app. So, there are ways that you can create video content just to promote your station, or why not film yourself doing your radio station or stream it directly to YouTube as well. We're hopefully in the midst of having a tool that will help you stream directly to the likes of YouTube and places like that. But there are other ways you can do it through things like Restream and OBS. While you're broadcasting a show live as your radio station, you can just do a simultaneous stream to something that's a visual platform. Again, you're attracting attention. People, some people can consume media a bit easier if there's something to follow, to watch, to concentrate on. But again, it just means that you are attracting audiences from YouTube, grabbing their attention and dragging them to your station. Same thing can apply to on-demand, or specifically podcasting. A big question people ask me a lot is, what's the difference between a podcast and a radio station? There's no difference really, aside from a podcast is just a pre-recorded talk radio show. And therefore, a radio show is just a live talk podcast. That's it, essentially. Now, really, you should only keep your podcasts to be strictly talk-based, and the reason for that is because a lot of platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, there are many others, as soon as they detect any copyrighted material built into your podcast or your on-demand content, they will remove it because, they aren't licensed to broadcast that. They are under their own terms, but not you as someone submitting content to them. Even if you have licenses in place for your station, it does not extend to podcasts or interactive media, as they describe it as. So one ways that people are doing it, I know the BBC are big on doing this, and a lot of other platforms are, is they'll take their breakfast show, they'll edit out all the music, and they'll repackage it where it's just featuring all the talky bits, all the discussions that they had, the guests they spoke to, the jokes they made. They repackage that up and they make it as a BBC breakfast podcast that you can listen to on Spotify. Now, of course, that requires a bit of work for you to do, but it's absolutely worth the trouble doing it, because, again, similarly to YouTube, there are people who only get their entertainment, their music and their podcasts specifically through Spotify. They may absolutely love what you're going to have planned on your radio station, but they're never going to find it because they just stubbornly reside within Spotify or Apple Podcasts and things. So you need to hook them in. You need to get their attention. So why not repurpose, recycle your content? Your live shows, you can record them through Radio.co. If it's a talk show, why not record it, download it, upload it somewhere? Simple as that. Our sister company Podcast.co can absolutely accommodate things such as that. And if you have a website, you can have your live radio player embedded on there, and also a embedded playlist for your podcast, your on-demand content as well. Another platform you could use is Mixcloud. It's a bit more limited in scope in the sense of it's not the most well-known, notable one when people think of getting on-demand content. That has been firmly taken by Spotify, again, to name drop. But Mixcloud is great how you are actually permitted to upload content that has, a bit of music, or maybe you've done DJ mixes and you want people to listen to the live show again. Upload it to Mixcloud, point people to that, embed playlists and players on your website, and again, they can consume that. On demand is just a way to further expand the reach of your radio station to audiences that, as I say, may not have known about your station's existence because they don't listen to typical internet radio means. They consume all their pre-recorded radio shows or their playlists of music elsewhere. They may love what you do, so, just go out your way to do this bit of extra work, bit of extra effort to really help promote your station. So realistically, if you are planning to launch a new online radio station, it is going to take a great deal of time and commitment before you can, really reflect on how well your campaigning has gone. So I would say that 6 months in is the earliest time you can look back on what you've done and assess how you can actually improve or amend. Hopefully, ideally, you'll then actually have a number of listeners that will show reactions to what seemingly works and doesn't work. You can then use the following 6 months to then implement those changes. And then, after 12 months, that's the earliest time where you can decide whether what you've done has been successful. We've got a lot of people who launch their stations and after a few months they go, I'm not getting any listeners. It's like, well, of course, you've not been broadcasting long enough. You can't expect from day one people to begin listening because they don't know your station exists. Your friends and family do, but they're probably going to listen to your station regardless, or they've got other things to do, bluntly. But the idea is you need time to actually get the cogs working. So after 6 months, assess what you've done, and then after 12 months, that's when you can decide whether what you've done has been worth it. It's important to set expectations early when launching your own radio station, as you're not going to get a big audience immediately. It will, of course, take time and consistent effort to see that growth. But by following those guidelines, you can definitely work towards a strong start and a promising first year on air. On a similar note, I would begin defining what success means to you. Is it getting 100 listeners in 6 months? Is it securing one sponsor? Is it getting a really great special guest on air with you? Come up with a realistic, achievable objective to work towards to track your personal progress. Because success doesn't mean the same thing to everyone. Success doesn't actually have to mean that in order to be classed as a successful radio station, you're going to have 500,000 listeners. That's rubbish. Find out what works for you, and once you've hit that, that's going to boost your morale. You know that, great, I got that one sponsor I needed. That's great, I'm on the road to building my audience. Great, I've got 100 people now. It's taken 6 months, but hey, I know what works. Maybe I can double that, triple that, get 10 times that many people by the end of the year. Do that first. And that's it. Well, about 90% of what it takes to run your own internet radio station and prepare yourself for a challenging yet highly enjoyable, rewarding adventure. Sounds cheesy, I know, but dreams don't come true overnight, so as long as you're fueled by that passion to bring your radio station to life, then I have all the faith in the world that you'll get there. As for that remaining 10%, that'll all be covered in the final video of the series revolving around FAQs and other industry buzzwords that you may be familiar with or not familiar with. So join me in the next video if you want to know absolutely everything else about running your own internet radio station with Radio.co. But, of course, if you feel confident enough and fearless enough to just jump right in and see what magic happens, then our free 7-day trial is the perfect way to just get you started. Head to our pricing page on our website and select the best subscription plan for you. And until next time, take care and happy broadcasting. And just before you go, have you ever thought about launching your very own internet radio station? Surprisingly, it's a lot easier than you may think, especially when you make the time to chat to myself or a member of the Radio.co team. To do just that, head to our website, radio.co/demo, where I can talk about your plans, any questions you may have, and me and the team can really get you up to speed in launching your own internet radio station in literally minutes. It couldn't be easier. Why not check out some of our webinars, tutorials, help guides situated around me? Or why not visit our website, Radio.co, or even drop me an email, studio@radio.co. Until next time, take care and happy broadcasting.